First contact fallout. Commander Elena Reyes stared at the massive holographic display dominating the Earth Defense Initiative's command center. The coffee in her hand had long gone cold, forgotten as countless red dots appeared in Earth's orbit. This wasn't a system malfunction. This wasn't a drill. Confirmation from all global observation posts, Commander, Lieutenant Park said, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Over 200 unidentified objects have taken position in high Earth orbit. They're not responding to any communication attempts. Elena nodded, her mind racing through protocols that suddenly seemed woefully inadequate. Alert all EDI bases worldwide. I want defense systems ready but not engage. And get me the Secretary General. Humanity had long suspected we weren't alone in the universe. We prepared for this moment with treaties, protocols, and defense systems, but faced with the reality of an alien armada appearing without warning, those preparations felt as substantial as tissue paper in a hurricane. The first transmission came 3 hours later. It broadcast simultaneously across every communication channel on Earth: radio, television, internet, even systems that should have been secure. The message was clear and chillingly precise in every human language. People of Earth, we are the Voidari Collective. Your planet has been designated for integration. Submit to processing or face extinction. You have 72 hours to disarm all military facilities and prepare for our arrival. Resistance is both futile and illogical. The global panic that followed was predictable. What wasn't expected was how quickly it transformed into cooperation. Ancient enemies shared intelligence. Political rivals coordinated responses. Scientists from nations that had been at odds for generations now worked together in hastily assembled teams. In the EDI's underground facility beneath the Andes Mountains, Elena led the primary response team. What do we know about their capabilities? She asked the assembled group of military leaders and scientists. Dr. Ananya Sharma, head of Xenotechnology Research, gestured to the screen showing the alien ships. Their technology is clearly advanced, but there's something interesting about their deployment pattern. It's mathematically perfect, too perfect. There's no adaptation to local conditions or strategic variance. What are you suggesting? Asked General Williams. That they're extremely methodical, Ananya replied, possibly even rigid in their thinking. The communication was the same, perfect translation, but no cultural adaptation. It's as if they've studied our languages, but not how we actually communicate. This observation became their first advantage. While the Voidari expected submission, humanity prepared. Governments moved key personnel underground. Military assets were dispersed rather than disarmed. Communication shifted to improvised channels, old radio frequencies, physical messengers, and systems cobbled together that didn't follow standard protocols. When the 72-hour deadline expired, the Voidari's response was swift and devastating. Energy weapons beyond human understanding targeted major military installations worldwide. Cities weren't directly attacked, but power grids failed as key infrastructure points were destroyed with surgical precision. They're following a standard invasion protocol, Elena observed as reports flooded in. Disable military capability, then critical infrastructure, then government. It's textbook, our textbook. They're using our own military doctrine against us. What the Voidari couldn't understand was that humans had been imagining this scenario for generations. Science fiction had prepared us with countless invasion scenarios. Disaster drills had trained civilians to respond to catastrophic events, and decades of warfare had taught military leaders about asymmetric responses. 6 days after first contact, a discovery changed everything. A Voidari scout ship crashed in the Siberian wilderness after encountering an unexpected electrical storm. Russian special forces secured the site before the aliens could recover it. Dr. Sharma led the team examining the wreckage. Her voice was breathless with excitement when she called the EDI Command Center. Commander Reyes, their technology. It's extraordinary but fundamentally flawed. Their systems are completely integrated. No redundancy, no separation of functions. Everything operates on the same frequency patterns. Alina leaned forward. What does that mean for us? It means, Ananya said, that what affects one system affects them all. Their communications, weapons, shields, they're all vulnerable to the same disruption. And I believe we can create that disruption with technology we already have. This became the foundation of Project Echo. The plan was audacious, perhaps even desperate, but it was built on a simple observation. The Voidari were technologically superior but inflexible. They had evolved beyond the need for adaptation because nothing had challenged them in centuries. Engineers worldwide began modifying existing radio equipment. Quantum physicists repurposed research tools. Even consumer electronics were collected and reconfigured. The goal wasn't to match the Voidari's technology, but to disrupt it in ways they couldn't anticipate. This isn't about fighting strength with strength, Alina explained to world leaders in a secure video conference. This is about using their perfection against them. Their systems don't expect interference that doesn't follow logical patterns. They don't understand chaos because they've eliminated it from their evolution. Some nations were skeptical, but they had few alternatives. The Voidari continued their methodical disassembly of Earth's defenses, moving their ships into the atmosphere as ground forces began deployment in strategic locations. Dr. Sharma worked tirelessly with her international team, testing frequencies against the salvaged alien technology. It's like finding the resonant frequency of a wine glass, she explained. Hit exactly the right tone, and even something seemingly indestructible shatters. 20 days after first contact, as the Voidari prepared for their final assault, Project Echo was ready. It wasn't elegant or sophisticated, just thousands of modified transmitters prepared to broadcast a precisely calculated frequency pattern simultaneously worldwide. Some were military-grade communications equipment. Others were repurposed cell phone towers, TV stations, even homemade radio sets. They'll detect the buildup of energy, Alina warned her team. We'll have one chance before they adapt. As the Voidari command ships descended through the clouds, positioning themselves above Earth's remaining military strongholds, Alina gave the order that would determine humanity's future. Initiate Project Echo, she said, her voice calm despite the weight of the moment. All stations, commence broadcast. Across the planet, human technology hummed to life, sending its silent countermeasure into the skies where the Voidari awaited, completely unaware that they were about to learn why underestimating humanity would be their last great error. Humanity's response. The Voidari never expected the attack they couldn't see. When Project Echo activated, there was no dramatic explosion, no visible weapon discharge. Just thousands of transmitters worldwide simultaneously broadcasting a precisely calibrated frequency that targeted the fundamental operating system of the Voidari technology. From her position in the underground command center, Alina watched the monitors with held breath. For 3 agonizing seconds, nothing happened. Then reports began flooding in from observation posts worldwide. Voidari ships are experiencing power fluctuations. Shield harmonics failing over Sydney. Ground forces in Eastern Europe have stopped advancing. The alien technology, so perfectly integrated, became its own worst enemy. The frequency pattern created a cascading failure that spread from system to system. Shields failed first, followed by weapon systems. Communication between ships deteriorated, creating confusion in their perfect formation. But the victory was far from complete. The Voidari command ships, more heavily protected than the others, managed to stabilize their systems. They immediately launched a devastating counterattack, targeting the largest transmission sources with weapons that reduced cities to ash. They're adapting, Dr. Sharma reported grimly, analyzing incoming data. Faster than we anticipated. They're modifying their frequency patterns. Alina had expected this. Initiate Phase 2, she ordered. Phase 2 wasn't centralized like the first attack. It relied on thousands of smaller transmitters activating randomly. changing frequencies in patterns based on mathematical chaos theory, something the Void Ares' logical minds struggled to predict. The transmitters weren't sophisticated technology, but modified consumer electronics operated by civilians who had been secretly trained during the invasion. Their weakness isn't technological, Alina had explained when planning this phase. It's philosophical. They think linearly. We need to respond non-linearly. As the command ships recalibrated to block the main frequency, they encountered a bewildering array of new signals coming from unpredictable sources. Amateur radio operators in remote locations, modified car stereos, repurposed satellite dishes, each transmitting slightly different frequencies that combined to create a disruptive wave that the Void Ares couldn't trace to a single source. The Void Ares response revealed their growing frustration. They abandoned precision strikes and began widespread bombardment, hoping to eliminate the countless sources of interference. This desperation proved their undoing. "They're overextending," Alina observed, burning through energy reserves to maintain shields while attacking. Lieutenant Park nodded. Conventional military units report Void Ares ground forces are disoriented. Their equipment is malfunctioning unpredictably. They're vulnerable. For the first time since the invasion began, humans took the offensive. Military forces emerged from hiding, targeting confused alien troops with conventional weapons. Civilian resistance groups disrupted supply lines. Each small victory fed a growing wave of momentum. The turning point came when 3 Void Ares ships collided over the Atlantic, their navigation systems fatally compromised by the chaotic interference. The resulting explosion destroyed a significant portion of their fleet and damaged their command structure. In orbit, the massive Void Ares mothership, nearly 2 kilometers long, began an emergency energy pulse designed to reset all their systems simultaneously. This was their final contingency, a complete reboot that would temporarily power down their technology before bringing it back online with new protective measures. Dr. Sharma recognized the energy buildup. They're preparing a system-wide reset. We have maybe 5 minutes before they become immune to our frequency attacks. Then we use those 5 minutes, Alina said firmly. All transmitters switch to maximum power. Concentrate everything on the mothership. The coordinated attack focused the disruptive frequencies on the mothership at precisely the moment it was most vulnerable. During the power-down phase of its reset, the massive vessel shuddered in orbit, its perfect crystalline structure developing fractures as conflicting commands tore through its integrated systems. What happened next would be debated by scientists for decades. Some claimed the frequency attack caused a power core breach. Others believed the Void Ares' own reset function amplified the interference beyond their control. Whatever the cause, the result was spectacular and devastating. The mothership exploded with such force that debris rained across the hemisphere. The command structure of the invasion force had been decapitated in a single stroke. The remaining Void Ares ships, already struggling with systems failures, lost all coordination. Some fled Earth's orbit immediately, disappearing into the depths of space. Others crashed, their navigation systems fatally compromised. A few simply powered down completely, becoming dead hulks in the sky. The ground forces, cut off from their command structure, found themselves surrounded by humans who had endured catastrophe after catastrophe throughout their history and had developed a remarkable ability to function in chaos. 3 days after the mothership's destruction, the first Void Ares surrender came from a stranded contingent in what remained of Berlin. Their commander, unable to contact any superior officers and with failing life support systems, requested terms. The alien who met with Alina and the other human leaders wasn't the conquering force they had expected. Without the integrated network that connected all Void Ares, the individual seemed almost lost. "We did not understand," the Void Ares commander admitted, its voice translated through a damaged communication device. "Our analysis indicated primitive technology and predictable responses. We have never encountered a species that thrives in disorder." Alina studied the alien carefully. "That was your mistake. Humans don't just survive chaos. We're born from it. Our entire evolution is adaptation to unpredictable environments. The surrender terms were more generous than the Voidari expected. Humans, despite the devastation they had suffered, didn't seek extinction of their enemy, but rather understanding. The survivors were permitted to establish a colony in Earth's asteroid belt, under careful observation. In the years that followed, Earth rebuilt. The recovered alien technology accelerated human development by centuries, leading to advances in medicine, energy production, and eventually space travel. But the greatest lesson wasn't technological. It was psychological. The Voidari had been part of a galactic community that valued order, predictability, and linear advancement. They had never encountered a species like humans, who evolved through crisis and thrived on adaptation. As Earth established its first diplomatic contacts with other alien civilizations, this unique perspective became its greatest strength. 10 years after the invasion, the Lena stood on the observation deck of humanity's first faster-than-light vessel, watching Earth shrink in the distance as they headed toward the stars. "They underestimated us," Dr. Sharma said, joining her at the viewport. "They saw our primitive technology and thought us weak." Elena nodded, thinking of all humanity had endured and overcome. "That's always been our advantage. Our greatest strength isn't in our weapons or our technology. It's in our chaos, our adaptability, our stubborn refusal to surrender even when logic says we should." As the ship accelerated toward the heart of the galaxy, humanity carried with it a reputation that spread among the stars, a warning to any who might consider Earth an easy target. The Voidari had learned what others would soon discover. Underestimating humanity was a mistake that would not be made twice.